Greetings, everyone. Welcome to the Countering Racism, White Supremacy book study. We are covering the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter-racist code by Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Today we will be covering all of Area 7, Religion, pages 261 to 274. Welcome.
Thank you. We're gonna listen to some well sing to get our brain computers flowing and to get a just great insight on how racist men and racist women have used religion historically and currently. So I'm gonna play this clip for us. Then we're gonna get started with the discussion. Not long at all.
That was the greatest crime, but I say the greatest crime is what has systematically happened to black people. So in other words, if a person is in prison, for example, after a period of time of brutalization, the person starts hoping that the guards or the warden will really like them instead of injuring them in various ways. So a very deep subconscious aspect of black people's mentality is wanting to believe that white people will love them and stop mistreating them. And because they do not simultaneously understand, see, black people are not walking around with a definition of racism, white supremacy in their heads. They don't even realize that they need a definition of racism, white supremacy. You see, or as a older white female told a young black man who said that he didn't want to talk about racism because he was a Christian. And this older white female from the South told this young black man at a conference on racism, look, we gave you the Bible, we gave you the religion of Christianity, and we taught you to focus on three things, you meaning your group of black people. Slave, obey your master, turn the other cheek, and you will get your reward in heaven. And so I would say that that is the dominant operative philosophy that black people hold.
All right, that's the clip. Definitely worth giving that entire broadcast a listen for those who are interested. So getting started, my first question I'd like everyone to attempt to answer is how do white supremacists relate to God? Let's not have a dead air. So I'm just gonna popcorn. Miss Williams, there you go.
From my understanding, white people relate to religion as if they are a god, and God left them in charge to continue to dominate and control over non-white people. I mean,
If I could answer the question, ever since understanding racism, white supremacy, what it is and how it works, I've come to understand that, just like Miss Williams, white people believe that they are God. I find that they relate to God in that way, that they are God, that they are the supreme creators, the dominant race. to elaborate a little bit more, I understand Christianity to be a white religion, but this religion oftentimes speaks about a chosen people who are often abused and mistreated, and I don't see white people being those people. So yeah, that's my answer.
Thank you.
And then just to add to that as well, I kind of see it as a kind of what people consider, I guess, the actions of God, or what God is like, I don't want to say used for, but so like you might pray to ask God for something, or you might pray, or you might do all of these things in order to like basically have God being the higher power. But instead, I feel like Europeans have put themselves in that position to where you almost have to ask white people for everything in order, even if you need a new job. It's like, even if like, sorry, even if I'm like qualified, I just think like you still got to go ask the white man in order for you to get that job, or you still got to go do this in order, or if you're having some mental issues, you got to go to a white psychologist or a white institution. So they almost put themselves in the highest part of every like people activity in order to have everyone turn to them for the answers.
Thank you, Ms. Naya. Ms. B, the question is, how do racist men, like that, how do white supremacists relate to God? Mr. Dan, Ms. Carice, Ms. B, love to answer.
They see themselves as the chosen ones. I mean, white supremacy is a religion, so they feel above and superior. And if you're not praising them, then the way that they see it is they'll have you praising God in a way that is not constructive, in a way to fight for justice.
Well said.
And I would add, in regards to that question, the question or my answer, they see themselves as God. You have to come to them. They don't have to come to you.
Ms. B, would you like to share an answer?
Can you repeat the question one more time, please?
Mm-hmm. How do white supremacists relate to God?
How do white supremacists relate to God? Well, I think that I think that they have placed themselves in the position of God as far as like everything we need, we have to go to them for it. Our livelihood, our health, housing, everything. And you have to rely on white people for all those things. Like you put them up there. Not that we put them up there, but it's basically, wait, let me get my thoughts together. Basically about survival. And if you're trying to survive, then you have to look to them for survival. That's all I want to say for now.
Thank you, everyone. Ms. Williams, would you like to share? I see you have a hand raised again.
I think that was Quavo who mentioned about the chosen people from the Bible. Was that Quavo or Dan?
That was me, Quaker.
Okay, Quavo. That's what I thought it was you. Now, from my understanding, because I used to be I'm eclectic pluralism now. I had to figure that out, but because sometimes I'm a Christian, sometimes I'm not. Depends on what I need to say about Christianity to use at that time. And sometimes I'm Hebrew Israelite, and I may be even Muslim sometime, depending on if I need to use it. Some of the examples. But from what I understood about reading the Bible, these chosen people were the Hebrew. I mean, they were the Hebrew Israelites, but they were the Israelites, and the Israelites that the Bible talk about are a stolen identity of people. And the ones who proclaim to be white are the ones who are claiming the title from the other people, the non-white people. So when they look at that, that makes them considered to be the stolen people, but with a stolen identity that they've done. And so a lot of people assume that they are white people, but they really were non-white people who went through the suffering. But the Jews and the people of Israel stole that identity to make themselves appear to have gone through that particular suffering when that ain't the one they went through. They supposed to went through the Holocaust, and I'm not really sure all that happened, but I'm just saying they say it happened, but that's the one that they really went through, but the other one they really did not. I'm mute.
Thank you. For me, I believe they act as if they are gods. They decide who to heal, save, kill, and destroy. They have no problem wiping out large populations, large areas of infrastructure where people live, with the uses of their weapons. They truly have I'm sure we've heard of this term before, God complex. And I think that stems from the very real reality that white supremacists act as if they are literally masters of the universe, gods of the universe. There's a reason they have made a movie called Masters of the Universe, that they have implanted within their brain computer that they are gods. And just to read from the code to get the codified counter-racist logic perspective, the code states the white supremacist, this is on 262, the white supremacist, racist man and racist woman collectively, however, function as their own religion. They are the god of their own religion, and they accept no other god that, like themselves, does not speak and or act in support of white supremacy. They speak and act as if any god worthy of their serious attention must be white in appearance and must assist them in whatever they choose to do in regards to non-white people. So truly dealing with a really interesting enemy, the white people who practice white supremacy. This could definitely explain why they have why and how they have controlled, dominated, manipulated the entire planet. It's because they feel like they have the right to do so, and they have collectively acted on their will to do so, which is very tragic for us, and from their perspective, very fortunate, because they're doing exactly what they want to do. Any comments from anyone have notes to share from Area 7 religion?
Yeah, starting off with my first comment here is, I thought it was very interesting, or one of the parts that stood out, where it says, when someone asks you if you believe in God, etc., answer by saying, only God knows and only God is qualified to tell. And I think this is a very brilliant response, only because I've been asked that so many times, especially when people ask like, oh, are you religious? Or they even go further than that. If I say, oh, like, are you a Christian? Especially when people ask me and my family, and then they always assume, quickly go, boom, do you believe in God? And then from there they ask, do you believe in Jesus Christ? And all of these things, and they just continue, because and Christian religion, it's like, if you don't believe in Jesus Christ, you basically go to hell. So it's just very interesting that this was the first thing that Neely Fuller Jr. decided to write, especially since it is a common question that I get asked.
Yes, exactly. And another popular one is, have you accepted Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior? I've heard that so many times growing up. And these are very, very great responses and questions to ask people who happen to want to talk to you about religion. I recall a couple of weeks ago, I was sitting outside of this restaurant, and this black male began to tell me about how we were Hebrew Israelites, and I began to tell him how the only religion on the planet that I'm concerned with is the religion of white supremacy, and I felt very important to have a code, and I wish in the past I have been able to like respond to like when someone tells you that he or she believes in God, ask him or her, why are you telling me? Because this is like just great responses and a great way to stay in question mode. I think also the really important 3 questions that we should have in mind when we are prompted for opportunity to speak in the area of religion. I'm just going to read the first 3 questions from 263 to 264, which states, when a person asks you to talk about his or her religion or spiritualism, ask him or her the following. 1, what is the title of your religion? 2, what does your religion or spiritualism require you to do in all areas of activity, including economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, the religions of other persons, sex, and war/counter war? What does your religion or spiritualism require you to do in regards to me and all of my interaction with you in all areas of activity? And I really like number 7 as well. I'm just gonna read that one too, because I think this is also a very important question. If we're given an opportunity to ask people, we should. So number 7 says, does your religion or spiritualism require that you at all times speak and act to replace white supremacy racism with justice, balance between people in all areas of activity? If not, why not? I think that's actually probably one of the most important questions, because TBH, I really don't care to hear about people's religion or to discuss religion unless their religion is a religion that is one that requires them to produce justice. Other than that, like most of the things that we concern ourselves with, it could be totally worthless. And yeah, definitely doesn't make it any better that myself, being a black male, grew up just watching and spending so much time being forced to go to church and all that stuff, and just not once did this church prevent Black people from being destroyed or prevent Black people from being homeless. So I've always been kind of confused in the area of religion as to why we are doing this. But thanks to the code, I have much more clarity now. Ms. B?
Hi, I hope this is not, can I be heard?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I hope this is on topic, but I found it really interesting. I saw an image a few times, where they had a list of all these different religions, like okay, they had Christianity, they had I think something with Chinese people, all these different people who practicing different things, and that their gods looked like them. But then when they came to non-white people, Black people, the Jesus was white, and I thought that was really interesting. Even though white people are over the other religions as well. Well, racism, white supremacy is over all the other religions, but it's really interesting that everybody else's God or creator resembles them, but ours resemble a white man. That's all I want to say. I thought that was interesting.
Oh, I have something I could add to that too. with everyone's gods looking like them. Now I remember I seen this one episode of Good Times. I've only seen like 2 episodes, and this was like the episode where I noped out. The mother on that show, she had a picture of the white Jesus hanging up in her room. And the black child on that show is like the most codified character out of everybody. So he took the picture of white Jesus down and he replaced it with a picture of black Jesus. And like the whole episode, the child was telling them like, "Hey, we need a God that looks like us." And the black mom wasn't having it. So at the end of the episode, well, this is spoiling it, but yeah, she took the the black Jesus down and put the white Jesus back up. And this is Good Times, 1970s show. Like, yeah, like white Jesus keeping an eye on her while she goes to bed, pretty much.
Yeah, what's been done to us in the area of religion is very, very, very tragic. You know, we are kidnapped by white people, indoctrinated into the system of racism and white supremacy, and taught to worship our mistreatment in the form of white supremacy. Very, very, yeah, very, very tacky, very, very trashy, and very, very terroristic to be a part of that process. And just also a great example of how our like logic has just been eradicated from our psyche, it seems, because even when I was more confused about race and white supremacy, I knew religion was very suspicious, because you shouldn't want to participate in anything that was given to you by a person who was also eating you, raping you, and mistreating you while practicing their so-called religion. So it's really like tragic that non-white people still spend a lot of time in area 7 religion without truly understanding what the most powerful religion is, which is the religion of white supremacy. Ms. Nanaya?
Yeah, I just I had a note on number 6. This really stood out to me because I thought it was very interesting to just ask a question of someone. Should all persons who are interested in supporting your religion do the exact same things that you do in each area of activity? If not, why not? I thought that really was another important question, due to, especially as I remember from Christianity. I use that because that's the only one I've ever knew about, like, in depth. But thinking of Christianity, I remember just there's always these like rules and things like, oh, you have to do all of these things to be like pure. Like, don't be mad, don't be angry, whatever, ask God for forgiveness. And then everyone's pretending at church that they're just all holy. And then, but it's just like the question, like, I know you as a person, like, if I could just ask you this question, like, should every person who wants to support that religion act like you? And I bet you the question will be like, oh no, don't act like me. And it kind of reminds me of like asking that question to someone who identifies or says that they are white, asking them if you practice religion, like if we should act like a white person. And knowing that a lot of racism and white supremacy exists, it's almost very interesting to see what they respond, because I wonder if they're going to say, no, don't act like me, because, and then I want to know why they say that. Is it because they identify that they are being racist to others or subjugating others, controlling others? I just wonder what their response would be. So I'm going to actually try to ask someone that, because I'm very interested in what the response would be.
Yeah, as am I. I recall from one of our discussions with the white people, one white person said that we shouldn't want to mimic what the most powerful white people are doing, which is telling in itself, if you ask me. I really appreciate spiritualism being brought up, because for a long time I've heard people say, oh, I'm not religious, I'm spiritual. And when I separated my ties with my religion of so-called Christianity, when I would be asked, are you religious? And I would just say, nah, I'm just a spiritual person, having absolutely no idea what that even meant. But at the time, I just assumed it was just a person who is like, I don't know, in tune with the universe and like, cares about things somewhat. But I didn't really have a clear definition at all. But it's just something I would say because that's what we've been programmed to do, say things with not much thinking. But I really appreciate this portion from 264, which states, question, what does spiritualism, and that's in quotations, play and what people do? Is spiritualism necessary in getting people to be as they should be and or getting people to do as they should do? Answer, what is called spiritualism could and should be used to inspire or motivate all people to produce the will and the ability to end racism, to establish justice, balance between people, and to establish correctness, balance between people, creatures, and all things. The result of what is called spiritualism could be also and should also be the practice of what is called righteousness or peace. Righteousness and or peace is what will likely be produced through the practice of justice and correctness. So if you are so-called spiritual, I think one must be attempting to produce justice in order to logically call themselves spiritual. Ms. Williams, so you have a hand raised.
Yes. I too like that part about the spiritualism and what it should be producing. But one thing I wanted to point out too on that same page at the very bottom on 264, where it says, question, is it correct for a person to have a so-called freedom to practice the religion of white supremacy, race religion? If so, why? If not, why not? And the answer gives, it is not, absolutely not correct for a person to have the so-called freedom to practice the religion of white supremacy, race religion. The religion of white supremacy is designed to prevent the practice of all other religions, all other religions. When asked to say something about a religious conflict, say one or more of the following. And I love this. As long as the religion of white supremacy, racism exists, religious conflicts are guaranteed to continue. Most disputes about religion are disputes about which religion is best. That's what I've constantly heard over the years. Even when I was a Christian over 30 years or better. And that was one of the things I kept hearing people debate. Well, this religion is better. Methodist is better than Presbyterian. Presbyterian is better than Baptist. Baptist is better than holiness. This one is versus that one. And it's just a bunch of wasted time arguing about which religion is better, but they never talk about the worst religion, the worst. And it goes to, as a victim of, I'm at 265, as a victim of the religion of white supremacy, and I am a victim of this race religion, I am not qualified to say which religion is best. I am only qualified to say which religion is worst. And the religion of racism, white supremacy is the worst religion on the planet. So that's the only one that I am against. So many times when I talk to Christians, they assume that I hate Christianity, and it's not that. It's that I hate what so-called Christianity has done to our people when it don't allow them to think logically, because they constantly thinking emotionally about this instead of thinking logically, and realizing that the true enemy is not all the other religions. The true enemy is racism, white supremacy, which is the dominant worldwide system that continues to oppress non-white people worldwide. That's the only one that I'm trying to stop. All the rest can do whatever they want. But the only one I'm really trying to stop and eliminate is racism, white supremacy, simply because of the injustice that it has done to our people and us being continually subjugated and not allowed to live as human beings. We are human. We are supposed to be developing into the universal man and universal woman. But as long as this system is in place, we will continue to mistreat each other because we don't know any better. That's what we've been taught from the system of racism and white supremacy, is to use me before I use you before you use me. And it's constantly mistreating each other when we need to stop all of that and learn to treat each other the way we want to be treated. I'm mute.
Thank you so much for that, Ms. Williams. I couldn't think of a better segue into this question for everyone. The question is, why is the religion of racism and white supremacy the worst religion? Kwaku, I see you have a hand. Did you want to share before we start answering the question?
Yeah, very quickly on the last, considering the question regarding the freedom, that one kind of gets me thinking about the Constitution a little bit, and how you have the right to practice whatever religion you want. And when you put white supremacy in terms of it being a religion, the religion of white supremacy, it kind of starts to make sense as to how this religion of white supremacy is allowed to go on. I'm thinking, kind of abstractly, but when you think about all the things that aren't done to stop racism and white supremacy, it's probably because it's a religion and this is a free country. People are allowed to practice whatever religion they want to practice. And then when he says it prevents the practice of all other religions, clearly the system of racism, white supremacy is attacking people not because of their religion, but because of their color, the color of their skin. So when I think of these people who classify themselves as Islams or Muslims practicing that, they're not being attacked because of their religion. They're being attacked because of the color of their skin. So in a sense, the religion of white supremacy is preventing these people from practicing the religion that they identify with. That was just a comment I wanted to make.
Yeah, it brings a lot of clarity to what's going on throughout the planet, especially the area known as the Middle East. Because I once upon a time, I once thought that like these people are really that serious about religion. They're really killing each other, are being destroyed and doing jihads because of religion, but it's really not. It's because of their religion. It's because of the religion of white supremacy has done a masterful job of scapegoating their religious practices and using that as an excuse to create the reality where people are participating in jihad and suicide bombings and places being certain religious groups slaughtering other religious groups, like the Muslim versus the Islamics, or the Muslim versus the Christians in the Middle East. It's just all really, really sophisticated sophisticated plans created by racist men and racist women to get but to continue the state of conflict, the state of chaos for people who are not white. Definitely an amazing way of also making sure that no non-white people are able to have time to think about, hey, what am I doing? Like, am I really, there are 40 these virgins in the sky? Like, is it really worth killing another person who looks just like me because of their so-called religion? But if you're constantly in a state of panic, fear, or anger because someone that was killed because of their religion, then it's just a good way to keep people focused on religion and not on producing justice, or not being able to connect the dots as to why is this all happening, you know?
Agreed. I wanted to comment on that. I think it's a testament to the awesome power of the system of racism, white supremacy, and how it keeps people confused. I mean, people will go around saying they hate Islam and they don't even know what it is. And then we have people, Black people who are within these so-called religions of Christianity, Islam, and they're still being mistreated. I mean, you go to certain places in Africa, and half the population is Christian, half the population is Islam, and they are attacking one another. And they think it's because of the religions that they've chosen, but in reality, it's racism, white supremacy, pitting them against each other, training them to hate Black, and they don't even realize that they're doing this not because of the religion, because the religion, I mean, let me not make that statement, but I would assume that their religion is not requiring them to kill one another, kill someone else based off of the religion that they believe in. I could be wrong, but really they're killing each other because they're Black and they're non-white.
Agreed. So the question again was, why is the religion of racism, white supremacy the worst religion on the planet and possibly in the known universe? I'll go ahead and answer first. I think it's the worst religion because not only, I think because what it does to non-white people, similar to what Ms. Williams said earlier, it really forces non-white people to worship their mistreatment, because as I have learned from the ISIS paper, that like Christ is just a code for white. So we worship Christ, it trains us to worship whiteness. It has been used to I think any ism is really incorrect, because add an ism to it, it can give open up avenues for whoever is a part of that ism to be subjugated or controlled because they're that ism and not because of the color of their skin. Also, religion is super popular amongst Black people. You can often go to a well, I don't know about now, but one could also go to a church and see Black people like hopping up and down, and just getting the so-called Holy Ghost, and then leaving that church still being dominated by the system of white supremacy. And I really despise it because of what it has done to my victim unit. Like I have people in my victim unit who are still buying Christian books written by white people to I guess to help them for some reason. Even during COVID, when I lived in South Central, I would go to the store, and then the Latinos, whatever that is, they would be in church wearing a mask, worshiping, like practicing either Christianity or Catholicism. And I'm like, wow, this is really interesting. White people have people who look just like you in cages, and then they're being sex trafficked, but you're all spending your time to participate in the religion literally designed to mistreat you. And I think it's really tragic that it's been going on for so long. And non-white people, I just think about Africa as well. Like it seems like it's even on 10 over in Africa, with so many Christian churches popping up, and tons and tons of Black people in Africa have realized that they can make a lot of money in the area of religion by bamboozling their followers and by selling lies that this religion is gonna like save you, this religion is gonna help you. And even that whole concept of being saved, you know, in a religion of Christianity, you're supposed to be saved by Jesus Christ. He's supposed to save you. You're supposed to accept him into your heart as your Lord and Savior. So just really, really sophisticated conditioning of non-white people. A really, really successful brain trashing tool that has been used for I don't even know how many years, but it definitely needs to be stopped immediately. But I think the damage is far great. I'm not gonna say too great to be replaced with justice, but the damage is definitely great. And also, this religion of white supremacy is so evil because all of these religions are supposed to you know, be about like peace and helping people and all that stuff, but all throughout the planet there's still death, chaos, and destruction. And everywhere on planet Earth, you know, people in the military, they will say, yeah, I'm a God-fearing Christian, and then go to a brown country and kill everybody. You know, they get medals with like crosses on them for being heroes. It's just really like insane. You know, it's just insane to say the least. I could definitely go on forever about why this is the worst religion, but I'll let others answer the question.
Yes. Oh, go ahead, ladies first.
I was just gonna mention the only thing that came to mind is just the obvious, where 0526 definitely went in depth with that. Thank you. It's just that particular religion literally just mistreats everyone. And mistreatment is in all areas. It's killing, it's all levels of mistreatment that there is to exist. And I think that is why this would be the worst religion. And the religion literally practices to mistreat. Like the whole practice is to mistreat. So thank you.
I want to add that it's also a really phenomenal dividing tool, because in the area of known as Korea, they have split racist men and racist women have split that area. So South Korea is heavily Christian, and they practice that nonsense, and they're the North Koreans I suspect do not. But it's just a really awesome divisive tool. You can look exactly the same but still have animosity towards one another because of the religion. And it's a great tool of spreading mistreatment, not just from white people, but it spreads mistreatment for non-white people to mistreat one another. Thank you for that, Ms. Nanaya. Ms. Williams?
This statement, I don't want nobody to take it out of context, because we are talking about religion. But when I hear people in various religions, from what I've gathered from the few that I have studied, it appears that these religions are supposed to be going to save you from something. I think in Christianity, you're going to be saved from your sins, and whatever the sin that you're doing, you keep doing it. You ain't stopped doing it. I don't know. But then in the other ones, you're still being saved from something, to go a special place that's only reserved for people who have accepted this particular God. And then after you've accepted him, you get to go to this paradise place, but you only can go once you die. You can't enjoy none of that before you die. So it makes me wonder, what are you being saved from if you don't benefit from it? Because if you're still suffering with the religion, then what's the purpose of having a religion and you're still suffering? Because what kind of God is this that you didn't pray to him and he didn't forgave your sins, and you're still suffering, but you're still praying to him, but you're still suffering. I have a problem with that. That's the reason why I'm sometimes a Christian, sometimes I'm not, because sometimes of the things that they practice, I can't wholeheartedly agree with. But another thing that I wanted to point out is that on page 265, where it says about um, uh, be extremely careful in regards to anything that you say and do in your interaction with a white person who identifies himself or herself as a religious title, and or who implies that he or she, himself or herself, with this religious title, I'm sorry, I'm skipping over the bin where it says he or she is the person who is trying to help you and to end racism, white supremacy, and to help you to produce justice, balance between people. So the religion that does that, that's the one I'm looking for, the one that's going to produce justice, who's going to get me out of this situation of this system of racism, white supremacy that's constantly dominating me every day, that I can't live the life I was intended to live. So if none of these religions can produce that for me, I can't rock with them. I can't, because I'm needing justice, balance between people, guaranteeing that nobody is being mistreated, no one. And then guaranteeing that anyone who needs help gets the most constructive help. That's the religion I need. So when they find that, when they need to knock on my door and tell me they found it, because that's the one I'm going to sign up for. But until then, I'm going to continue to counter racism, white supremacy, because it's the one I have identified as my true enemy. I mean,
Well said, Miss Nanaya.
Yeah, I wanted to add to that, to what Miss Williams said in the beginning, where it's almost like some religion, just you striving for something that you only get to experience after death. And I know for a fact that when I used to like practice Christianity, I remember like it was almost like, oh, just hush hush, like pray, and then all your worries will be gone once you die. Like you'll just ask for forgiveness and continue to ask so you can go to heaven, and all worry will be gone. But then another statement that you always hear too within just like practicing certain religions is that they say like right now is hell, like this is hell, we're living in hell. And it's very interesting that like they identify this as hell, which means that there's no hope until you die. So then it's just like, think about those words, continuously practicing every day that. And the other thing I wanted to say, oh man, I think I lost my train of thought. What was the last thing? I lost my train of thought what my next point was, but that was my first point. And I'll raise my hand again if I have it, if I remember.
To answer the question, well, to restate the question, why is white supremacy the worst religion? I believe white supremacy is the worst religion because it has created the chaos, the confusion, and the current state of the planet. I think when the Urugus left Europe to go out and mistreat the world, they weren't taking around their religion of Christianity. I believe that they were taking with them the religion of racism, white supremacy, which states that since you are Black or non-white, you are inferior and you deserve to be mistreated. I am white, therefore I am entitled to mistreat you because you are Black. I think when examining the state of the world, racism, white supremacy is everywhere, and it's hard to separate any aspect of life or human activity from racism. I believe that due to racism, the religion, the system of racism, white supremacy existing, there can be no peace on the planet. There can be no guarantee of justice, balance between all people. And that's largely in part due to the religion of racism, white supremacy. The religion of racism, white supremacy is kind of what gave birth to the system of racism, white supremacy. I mean, when I think towards black civ, and even in the code book, where Neely Fuller states that let me see, when he talked about religion, he said, according to compensatory counter-racist logic, religion means the sum total of everything that a person thinks and everything that he or she says, plus everything that he or she does. That reminds me also of Chancellor Williams in Black Civ when he spoke about religion and it being a way of life, not something that people do on, on the weekend, or it's separate from their life, but really how they live their life. So when you live your life, when you live the religion of racism, white supremacy, you are practicing racism. You are taking part in the system of racism, white supremacy. That's why I think that racism, white supremacy is the worst religion on the planet, because it doesn't allow justice or peace.
Well said, Mr. Kwaku. Ms. Helen B.
Hello. The reason why racism, white supremacy is the worst religion, because it names, kills, mistreats non-white people, because it's a hypocrite to talk about humanity and saving, poor starving children in Africa, and then when they go over there, they poison them and mistreat them and everything else. That's why it's the worst religion. Oh, and also the reason why it's the worst religion, because it broke up my family. I won't say what the religion was, but the other so-called thing. But they actually came into my home and they told my mother and father, and attempted mother, that they shouldn't be together because they're not married. And this was a religious group, and ever since then everything went downhill. I mean, it was bad before, but I mean it really went down after that. So that's why racism, white supremacy is the worst religion.
Very, very tragic. And what you said, Ms. Helen B, reminds me of actually, before I comment, does anyone like to answer the question before we move forward?
I'll try, because everybody said basically what I was gonna say, but I feel like it's the worst religion because it's a religion that majority of non-white people don't even know that's a religion, first foremost. So they're deceptive to see that they have all these other religions, but they're not knowing the main focus and the main practice of religion is white supremacy running through this system and how we're functioning as well. So I feel like until we stop battling about different religions, because religion to me is people trying to build a connection with God in different ways. So if everybody was to notice that white supremacy was a religion, it's a practice religion that's practiced every single day of the hour, then maybe we wouldn't be so focused on the drivens of different kind of religions and how they practice certain things. We should be driven to focus on the white supremacy religion and how they're practicing to mistreat us and divide us under this system.
And for in regards to the question, I would say that question definitely takes some time and care to give a correct answer. But it being the worst religion, I would say it would be the worst religion. If your objective is to produce justice, then yes, it would be the worst religion in that case. But if your goal or objective is to dominate, subjugate, and abuse people, that would be the best religion for you to use, because only in the religion of white supremacy, for example, I was thinking about back in church how they would crush up like crackers or something and tell you you're eating the body of Christ, and then like give you a little bit of Kool-Aid and say it's the blood of Christ. The religion of white supremacy is the only religion I know that you can pull off a lie like that, give a person a Ritz cracker and tell them to eat the body of Christ.
Thank you, everyone, for answering the question. I just want to go back to what Helen B said, and how these religions are so powerful that they can definitely destroy families and cause a lot. Attempted families and cause a lot of conflict in families. And also these most religions I've came across, they do an awesome job at preventing change or growth or evolution within a person. And what I mean by that is that, like, for example, a person from the so-called Christianity religion, they could sin. All they have to do is say, "God, please forgive me," and then allegedly that sin is forgiven, and then that's it. They could do it again. They could do that same action again and say the same thing. "Oh, God, please forgive me," and then the sin is forgiven. And that's kind of how I used to use Christianity. I would do bad stuff and just, "Oh, God, please forgive me." Next week, I'm doing something worse, And many people in my victim units are just so in love with this Jesus Christ, but at the same time, they're alcoholics who abuse their children, who don't take very good care of themselves, are the people that they should be taking care of. So religion is a good crutch for people to have an idea that they are a so-called good person, so-called spiritual person, but in actuality, just be a really, for lack of a better word, pitiful person. What Helen B said earlier also reminded me of missionaries, how white people will go out to various parts of the world and with the guys that they're helping them by spreading this awesome religion that's going to get them out of their primitive state, or is going to help them in some way. And this portion from the code definitely reminds me of how missionaries are a really prime example of the many tools racist men and racist women have at their disposal to maintain, refine, and expand the system of white supremacy. So on page 266, the code says, "Be very wary of white people who come to you in the name of religion and who say that they want to help keep you from being mistreated by other people, white or non-white, and or they want to help you to replace white supremacy, racism with justice, balance between people." Explanation: during the existence of white supremacy and according to compensatory counter-racist logic, it is not necessary for white people to offer to help non-white people to end white supremacy. All that is necessary for white people to do in order to end white supremacy is to stop practicing white supremacy themselves and to stop or persuade all other white people to do so, to do the same. That's simple. We don't need missionaries going halfway across the world trying to help in that way. All we need is white people telling other white people to stop practicing racism and white supremacy. It should be very, very simple. but apparently they do not have the will to want to produce justice, unfortunately.
I think some missionaries and pastors, preachers, sometimes they try to take advantage of your faith of your religion, I guess. I know my child father, he has a pastor, don't not fond of him because when he met me, he felt like he wanted me to join the church. So his way of having me join the church was to uh, take my child father out the choir and then telling him he needs to apologize to the church for having a baby out of wedlock. And then, basically taking classes with him in order for me to, because he wanted me to join the church. So it's just the point of what you would tolerate for some people, because some people are, they feel like they need their pastors or their preachers or their missionaries. But you'll just start to see the BS that they feed you or try to feed you.
Yeah, the entire Bible is just jargon of BS, and it's just, and I'm like, it's so long, and I'm really suspicious of how many people have actually read that from cover to cover. But yeah, very tragic, very, very incorrect. So we are introduced to I guess a compensatory religion, which is called eclectic pluralism, which the code states on 267 is the religion of compensatory. Eclectic pluralism means to choose parts of many different religions, viewpoints, concepts, etc., in order to find the correct one. It is basically the process of asking many questions and seeking the best and correct answers for thinking, speaking, and acting correctly in all areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war/counter-war. And I'm going to skip down to the special note, which states eclectic pluralism is expressed only through the individual person as an individual person, and only during the time that the person is seeking the best combination of thought, speech, and action associated with truth, justice, correctness, and peace. It is not possible for eclectic pluralism to be correctly associated with any so-called organization of persons other than an organization of one person seeking to organize himself or herself. There is no so-called formal or informal meeting place, location, church, temple, mosque, holy site, synagogue, congregation, etc., functionally associated with the concept and evolution of eclectic pluralism. To think, speak, and act as if eclectic pluralism is anything other than how it is described according to the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept is to describe it as not being associated with the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept. And I think this part is really interesting as well, which 268, if your religion is compensatory eclectic pluralism, which means to choose parts of many different religions, viewpoints, concepts, etc., in order to find the correct one, and you are asked if you attend church, etc., say the following: I have been to church, I stopped going to church, I never left, departed from church. Note, a person who practices eclectic pluralism is always in so-called church whenever he or she may be seeking the truth about what to do and not to do. That is the will of his or her creator. So very awesome that we have been given the opportunity to practice eclectic pluralism. Really, really interesting. I really appreciate this whole idea. Any comments?
That's that's the name of Mr. Fuller's religion. If you ask Mr. Fuller, what's the name of his religion, he'll tell you he's an eclectic pluralist. That doesn't mean anybody else is. It just means he is.
I'm sure those who choose to practice eclectic pluralism can also do so. I'm sure it's suggested in this book for those who want to become an eclectic pluralist to do so. Am I in error in not thinking?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know everything that there is to know about it. That would mean that person who says that they're practicing it are getting all their information about it from Mr. Fuller in a book that is a concept. So, and I don't know what that means. I'm not saying I'm for that religion or against that religion. I'm just saying that is Mr. Fuller's religion. When you're actually reading, a book, it's difficult to understand how the thinking for writing that book came about. I mean, you do understand the words that are being written, but if someone is to go around saying that they are an eclectic pluralist, then they should know all that there is to know about being an eclectic pluralist. They should know that. And the only person that knows that is Mr. Fuller.
That definitely makes sense. So our next question for everyone is, how do white people help non-white people in regards to religion?
My answer to that, I wish I had a little bit more time to think about it, but off the top of my head was just leave them alone. White people should just leave non-white people alone when it comes to religion. And also end the religion of racism, white supremacy.
I would say for that question, how do white people help non-white people in regards to religion? I would say they don't.
Any more folks want to attempt to answer the question? For my answer, it's they help non-white people in regards to religion by funding their religions, whether it's Christianity or Catholicism. They give them money to build their little churches and whatnot, but only if they are certain that this church is not going to be a threat to racism and white supremacy. They as long as that, because no black person, no non-white person is out here building their own churches or has the power to establish their own churches. These are all things that white people control. So they help by funding religion, by encouraging non-white people to participate in religions that they know won't have many constructive results in regards to ending racism and white supremacy and replacing it with a system of justice and like the codified understanding of how white people help non-white people in regards to religion is on 269 of the code, which states, question, within the system of white supremacy racism, what type of arrangement do white people for the most part have with non-white people in regards to religion? Answer, racist men and racist women, white supremacists collectively sometimes do much to help a particular religion be more emotionally comforting to non-white people. They will help a religion to be more appealing to non-white people in regards to singing or dancing. They will help or allow non-white people to get more thrills or more fun out of one or more religious practices. What racist men and racist women will not do, however, is intentionally help a non-white person to practice a religion that will end white supremacy and or help that person to produce justice. Do not allow yourself to be used to either give support to or withhold support from any religion or any religious groups to the extent that you are confused and not effective in regards to what you say or do to end the religion of white supremacy racism. So yeah, I guess all this singing and dancing and hallelujah praising is directly should be blamed on racist men and racist women for creating these situations in the first place. And it's really interesting because when I was forced to go to churches and I'm seeing all these Black people jump up and down and praise hallelujah with no white people in sight, you know, my brain computer would not have ever been able to connect the dots that these Black people are doing this because of the system of white supremacy. This is what we have been trained to do. This is what we are expected to do under the system of racism and white supremacy. So it's very awesome to have the clarity to understand how religion is being used and how it has been particularly used against us to subjugate us, mistreat us, and to keep us in a silly, pitiful state collectively. This is something I have been attempting to practice. I'm going to attempt to practice this every single day, add it to my routine because it's very important, especially for those who like want some sort of connection with God or a creator or the universe or whatever we're going to call the force that we believe is responsible for all existence. So it says on 270. She's actually I'm gonna add to what I'm gonna read. I'm gonna read about 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm just gonna read about 6 paragraphs really quickly because this, I think this is pretty important for folks who may find this audio one day. So 270, the code states, if you choose to do so, use the compensatory universal prayer as a way of focusing on communication with the source of all creation, all power, etc. Say, thank you for all that you have given us and help us to want to do your will. Start every day seriously thinking about what the producer of the universe, all power, God, Allah, Yahweh, the Great Spirit, etc., wants you to decide to do, and speak and act accordingly. Think of everything that you now have had, or will have as being gifts, and be prepared at any time to lose, return some, most, or all of those gifts that you now have. Explanation: it is important to know and to understand that the very breath that you take, the air that you inhale and exhale, and the experiences of existence that you receive is all a gift from that which created you. It is best and correct for you to appreciate and value it all. It is best and correct for you to value it all as being something that you never would have known if you had never been allowed to exist. It is best and correct to know and to understand that a person does not lose what was given to him or her. Everything that a person receives, including his or her borrowed existence, was and is the property of that which created him or her. It is important to know and understand that all of the gifts that a person receives should be used to help him or her think, speak, and act to solve those problems that are presented to him or her. He or she has the duty to solve those problems as best as he or she can, and do so in a manner that is best and correct according to the laws of universal logic, the law of compensation. Each person has the duty to discover this universal logic by seeking to find the reason he or she was put into existence at the time and place that he or she was allowed to exist. So very, very significant for those who are interested in connecting to the source or wanting to begin to be thankful for their existence, for the many gifts the creator has given us. You know, the ability to walk, talk, think are all gifts given to us by the creator that we should be using for constructive purposes, probably not marching into other people's homes and killing them, but racism, white supremacy says otherwise. And it's something I began practicing this morning. I just thanking the creator and thanking the creator for my ability to wake up and do my routine of working out, and just my ability to think and my ability to understand that I have a purpose on this planet, and that purpose is to not be a slave, is not be a prisoner of war, and to produce a system of justice, system of peace, a system of correctness. Any thoughts, comments, concerns? This is the time for other folks to share their notes, because I have nothing more to say in regards to this, unless I am prompted by something someone else says.
I just have one thing to say on page 272. It talks about which holidays are the correct ones for thinking, speaking, and acting to accomplish things of constructive value. And the response was every day, and all night. And I thought this was a great way to wrap up this area of 7 for me, just because when I think of religion, when I practiced before this, practicing like Christian religion, it was almost like, oh, you get filled at church and then you go home and you have to like fill yourself with the Bible and like all these other things. But it kind of makes me think of too, like when I'm thinking of countering racism, white supremacy, it has to be a mindset or a way of thinking, speaking, and acting that is every day. It's not just for a moment to like, oh, one moment I'm a counter racist and the next moment I am whatever else, you know? So it's just like really thinking about these things, not constantly, but almost like intertwined with yourself, like you are this thing. And it's just very interesting.
Agreed. I wanted to comment on that as well. It really goes back to what Neely Fuller says about celebrating. I think most often people use holidays as a chance to start celebrating or get together and mostly spend that time unconstructively, barbecuing, consuming some flesh, drinking some poison, etc. But really, turning those moments of celebration, so-called celebration into moments to educate. That's something that I've started to practice and apply in my life. Usually now for whatever reason, for my birthday or for Christmas or something, I try to turn it into a moment of educating myself, learning how to do something new. I wanted to mention on page 265, when it says, when asked to say something about religious conflict, say one or more of the following. As long as the religion of white supremacy, racism exists, religious conflicts are guaranteed to continue. Most disputes about religion are disputes about which religion is best. As a victim of the religion of white supremacy, race religion, I am not qualified to say which religion is best. I am only qualified to say which religion is the worst. The worst religion is the religion of white supremacy. Since the religion of white supremacy is the worst religion, the most powerful religion, and it is designed to help promote religious confusion and conflict among non-white people, it is best for non-white people to avoid speaking and or acting against any religion except the religion of white supremacy. So I really wanted to focus on that last part where he says, focus on avoid speaking and or acting against any religion except the religion of white supremacy. I feel that sometimes, or a lot of times, when people, even if they aren't participating in counter racism, but they aren't practicing like religion, such as Christianity, because they've realized it's causing a lot of confusion, they tend to start attacking, for lack of a better word, other non-white people who still participate in those religions. And it reminds me of always keeping the focus on the white supremacists, right? I think it's always easy to point the finger at and start blaming the non-white people, the Black people, for their share and them participating in these religions. And of course, they should always hold some, for lack of a better word, once again, accountability for their actions. But it's the racist white supremacists who have created this scenario and have created this huge amount of confusion that we find non-white people participating in. I mean, the amount of confusion, a testament to the amount of confusion specifically in Christianity can go down to how many different denominations there are. Now, if there are so many denominations of a religion, how can you possibly expect any of these people to get along with each other or to agree on something? I think that is something that we need to start thinking logically as a people about. But I just wanted to reiterate that, keeping the focus on the racists, not blaming the non-white people, because non-white people, we're confused, right? We like, Dr. Wilson, like, what's happening? Like, we don't know what's going on, and we're trying to just like catch some air. And here we are, the racist white supremacists present us with this religion, and they provide us with some temporary solitude where we go to church, we start feeling the Holy Ghost, they start saying all these nice things like, oh, soldier through it, when you die everything's going to be okay, trying to comfort us from the system that we're currently in. And it's not non-white people's fault entirely for being vulnerable, to the point where we participate in things that just don't make any sense. It's not their fault. It's the racist white supremacists' fault. We're just victims.
Very well said, Mr. Kweku. This just reminds me of how racist men and racist women have studied us, and they have realized a long time ago that we are a communal people. We need to be around others, doing something like going to a church. So they understood that that would be a great way to subjugate us. And yeah, very, very correct point on how there's so many different denominations of all of these religions, And the people who are to blame are definitely white people. Even if you speak to you attempt to help a non-white person come out of their confusion, and they were refuse to do so, their incorrect brain trash thinking is still should be blamed on racist men and racist women, because those are the parents of all of us. They are the reason why we are here today, the reason why we will probably be here next week unless the system has been replaced with a system of justice.
Agreed. I won too many times. Gotten into an argument about religion. Black people shouldn't have arguments. Let me say that we shouldn't be arguing about religion, which is racism. But sometimes some victims are just so far gone where they really believe that this is hell and there's nothing that they can do about it. It's zeroistic thinking at best.
Yeah, zeroistic indeed. Any more comments, questions, or we can move into closing comments? Go ahead, Ms. Williams. And when there's dead air like this, you don't have to raise your hand. You can just speak.
Okay, sorry about that. My closing comment, well, closing question and answer. It says on page 263, what are some important things to think about as you work to end racism and produce justice? Answer, and I agree 100%. Continue seeking strength and guidance from the power force that produces the known and unknown universe, and be persistent regardless of the past occurring circumstances, oppositions, and disappointments. Do not quit. Do not start thinking of other things to do with your time and energy. Keep trying, even when you get a little or no help. Keep trying, even when your efforts appear to have no constructive effort. Keep trying. I mean,
Thank you for that. Definitely appreciate that portion of the code. For my closing comment, it's definitely an experience to realize how religion has been so used in so many insidious ways. It's very tragic to see what it has done to non-white people. Very, very, very tragic, and it's especially what it does to the mind. I'm reminded of that Urugu video where Dr. Marimba Ami says that she was talking to an African Christian, and the remarks that the African Christian made about her religion of Christianity was that she's some kind of dirty rag that needs to be cleaned by Jesus Christ, something along those lines. And that's just a prime example of how the religion of white supremacy just rots the mind, turns the mind against itself, against the body, as far as from my understanding. And it's very, very tragic. And people who are to blame are racist men, racist woman, racist child, collectively. That's my closing comment.
And go ahead.
Oh, just quickly, to close off, honestly, just gonna continue learning and studying. That's pretty much it.
My closing comments is I had a different foresee of seeing how religion is. But just to see how a lot of people out of the states could be converted into something. Is very, like, you think it's the original religion, but in reality, some people in states did not, out of the United States don't believe in religion. They believe in like calling on their ancestors and the creator just to protect and guide them in the right path. So to always keep focused that the main religion that needs to be dismantled is the white supremacy religion. And just to know that that's a religion within itself is, I think it'll open a lot of minds to get focused and to get serious about the issue and the problem that we have, because we all believe in the creator, we all creating tools, but we all have to walk to seek justice and peace for all people and creatures and things.
For my closing comment, there's a part I wanted to read out of here real quick. But for me, I knew I had to give up religion, specifically Christianity, when every time I thought about praying, I saw a white man. That's when I knew that I was practicing self-hate. So I wanted to end with, on 263, it says, questions. Are white people devils? Are non-white people devils? The only people who can recognize a devil are people who can recognize a God. Who are the people? Question. Who are the people who can recognize a God? The people who do. Question. Who are they? Answer. God only knows. That's it for my closing comment. Religion, Area 7.
And for my closing comments, that was a great point made by Kwaku. Besides electric pluralism, if you're asked about maybe what your religion is, maybe a response you can give is, my religion is problem solving. And if you want to see how effective the religion of white supremacy is, when you can convince a whole group of, like, look, the whole planet that Ritz crackers are the body of Christ, that's how strong this religion is and what we're up against. And those are my closing comments for Area 7 religion.
For my closing comments, I really enjoyed this this part of the book. I think what Neely Fuller had said about religion is very mindful, keeps me very mindful and insightful. I think it's another piece for me to really start the continue the deprogramming of racism and white supremacy, and another piece to use to reprogram also. So, thank you for the constructive thoughts.
Thank you everyone for participating. I'm going to end it there.